for Jerome Town Council candidates who appear on the July 21st primary election ballot. And this evening is co-hosted by the Jerome Historical Society. Thank you so much for providing this wonderful facility, and the League of Women Voters of Northern Arizona. My name is Gail DeGotti. I'm a member of the League of Women Voters, and I am your moderator for this forum this evening. Just a little background information about the League of Women Voters. We've been around for more than 100 years, not our local league per se, but the organization began when the 19th Amendment was being proposed for ratification, so that was back in 1920, so we've been around a while. And our purpose is to provide advocacy, education, and litigation as it plays a critical role in democracy. We are a grassroots organization, we are nonpartisan, and we firmly believe and act on the belief that voters play a very critical role in democracy. We have been recognized for more than 100 years as a force in molding political leaders, shaping public policy, and promoting informed civic participation. So I want to thank all of you for being here this evening to demonstrate active civic participation. We work to empower voters and defend democracy, and we do not endorse candidates nor support candidates in political parties. That is what makes us nonpartisan. We are political because we're engaged in the work of voting and educating voters, but we are nonpartisan in that we do not endorse candidates. We want to bring you all the information so that you can make an informed decision when you go to vote. Tonight's forum is being taped for broadcasting on the League of Women Voters Northern Arizona YouTube channel. The taping is being done by Scott right over there. And it will appear on other social media outlets for future viewing. It should be up this week. The purpose of this forum is to hear from the candidates on why they want to be a member of the Jerome Town Council and why they want to serve you in your community. It is also an opportunity for them to answer questions that have been submitted by voters prior to the forum. They have not seen these questions. They were submitted via an email address and then reviewed and compiled and synthesized into a set of questions. I would like to introduce our timekeeper, Marianne Kenny, who is right here in the front. She is also a member of the League of Women Voters. Her role is to keep us all on time. And trust me, she does that very well. She has 3 signs: a 1-minute sign, a 30-second sign, and a stop sign. This is for the candidate's benefit. She will raise the 1-minute sign and then the 30-second sign to let the candidates know how much time each of them have left in their response to the question. And then she will raise the stop sign to signal to the candidate that the time is up, and the candidate will then end that sentence. You can complete your sentence if you're in the middle of a thought when she gives you the stop sign. Before I go any further in describing for you very briefly what the forum, how it's organized, I want to call your attention to some little cards that are on the back table that have some very important information. For the primary election, early voting started on the 24th of July, which was yesterday. June. The primary election is July 21st. And the last day to request a ballot by mail is July 10th. And the reason why I'm pointing this out is because if you are registered as a non-affiliated voter, an independent voter, you need to request, if you haven't already, the ballot that you wish to vote. And you can do that by contacting the county recorder's election office in Cottonwood on 6th Street. You can do that by calling them and indicating your desire to have that particular ballot, and the phone number is on the front of the card. Or you can go to the polling place on election day and request it. So just as a reminder for those of you who are unaffiliated voters, that there's a little bit more process to vote in a primary election. Any questions about that? Okay, great. Okay, so the format of the forum tonight is in 3 parts. The first part will be opening remarks, and each candidate will be given 2 minutes to introduce himself or herself to you. They will also have 2 minutes to answer a question that has been provided by the League of Women Voters and the Historical Society, and it was provided prior to this forum. All the other questions that I'm going to be posing that have come from voters, they have not seen. So they'll be responding spontaneously to those questions. We solicited questions from the public prior to this forum. They're compiled and organized for me to ask. And if we have time after these questions, we can take some questions from you. Okay? Closing remarks. The candidates will have 1 minute to give their final remarks on why they want to serve the town of Jerome on the town council. As we start, I also want to cover a few of the guidelines for this forum. This is important. I don't think we'll have any need to reinforce these guidelines. I just want you to be aware of what I'm doing and the parameters for me as your moderator. So we ask 4 things of the candidates. The first is to be respectful of each other's point of view. The second is to speak your mind freely. The third is to avoid engaging in personal attacks. And the fourth is to not interrupt each other so that you get the full time. We ask you to refrain from applauding or in any other way demonstrating support or non-support for the candidates and their comments. You will have an opportunity at the conclusion to give your applause, to do a standing ovation, to do whatever you want, to indicate your feedback, but not during the forum. Time limits on responses to questions will be strictly observed, and I have the responsibility for enforcing those time limits. If the guidelines are not adhered to by the candidates or not by the audience, I have the prerogative to adjourn the forum. I'm sure I'm never going to have to do that in the great town of Jerome. Now I would like to introduce the candidates who are running for Jerome Town Council. We have Jane. I'm told you all know these people, so I can go by first names. And then Alex, Jack, Izzy, Becca, Sonia, Tyler, and Kacey. And the way in which they are seated here is based on a little lottery we did as they came in and picked up their name tag and they took a number out of the bowl, and that's how we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay? And the way in which I'm going to ask questions is I'll start with 1, first round, and then second round of questions, and I'll start with 2, and so on until we come back to 1. Okay? Let's begin now with statements from the candidates. Each candidate has 2 minutes to introduce himself or herself to you. And what they're going to be talking about are: when did you move to the community and why did you move here? Why are you running for office and why are you the best candidate for this position? And what is your experience serving in public office, in the municipality, as a volunteer, and in your career that you feel prepares you to serve in this position? And if you are an incumbent, what was your experience prior to being elected? So, a lot of why questions, whys and whats. And the candidates had received these questions prior to this meeting. So, Jane, can you begin? I think we need it in order to hear it on the...
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay. I'm a few short months of being here as a resident for 54 years. Okay, is that one?
Yes.
Okay. As I said, I'm a few short months of being a resident of Jerome for 54 years now. And I'm really glad to see all the people that are running and people taking an interest in being on the council. Because we know Jerome needs all the help that we can get to it, right? I've been a business owner, working also in some of the businesses here, and a resident for as long as I've lived here. So I see that there needs to be a balance between those who live here and the businesses that are here. I think that's really important. I've done odd jobs on the town crew in the 80s. I was the water and sewer commissioner when I was on the town council previously, when there was no town manager, so I'm familiar with water and sewer issues. And I'm a strong believer in volunteerism, community service, and really interested in seeing a diversity in the population living here. And hope that it can continue to stay that way. I'd like to see unfinished projects that we've been working on moving along, which is it? Stop for 30 seconds. Oh, okay. Anyway, I'd like to see some of these projects, mainly water and sewer issues, resolved. I've seen a lot of changes in all the years I've been here, and some of them are good and some of them are not so.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you for coming. I am Christina Barber. I was born in the town of Jerome. It is my home, and I'm grateful to be here. I enjoyed a wonderful childhood in Jerome. Looking back as an adult, I realized just how lucky I actually am to have grown up here. Jerome is a community of friends that care about each other. I raised my daughter here, and I have served my community behind the town of Jerome dais for 10 years. I served 6 years as mayor, 3 different 2-year terms. I served 3 years as a town council member, and I served 1 year as the vice mayor when the seat was vacated. I am proud of the current council. We have worked together as a team to get many things done. As a team, we analyzed each item with public participation and produced the best decisions to address Jerome's antique infrastructure that desperately needs repair. Recently, Jerome purchased a trash truck to replace an old relic we nursed along for years. Recently completed a drainage project in the Gulch utilizing Yavapai County flood control funding. Jerome is also in the process of adding needed hydrants, a larger water main line to the lower Gulch, utilizing community development block grant funding. Jerome continues to work on funding a $4 million shortfall on the bids to finally start the upgrades, much needed upgrades for our wastewater treatment facility. Hopefully we get the funding needed to start that project. We also hope to get funding to start the Verde Street and Center Street improvements that we have engineered. We have everything ready as long as we get the funds. Thank you.
Thank you, Alice. Jack?
Hello, I'm Jack Dillenberg, Dr. Dillenberg. I love being on the town council and doing the work here for years. My wife Jamie and I got married up here. We were up here walking one day, fell in love with the town, found a house for sale, we bought it. and then we got married here, and years ago. We love it. For those of you who don't know me, previously I worked as health director for the state of Arizona. Governor Fife Symington called me and asked me to come see him. I went to see him. I never met him, and he said, "Jack, I heard all about you. I'd like you to be director of the state health department." I wound up having 5,000 employees, $15 million a year budget for 5 years. And I did that in Phoenix. And I wound up doing other work around the world, India, Japan, all over doing public health work. This is my book, You Don't Know Jack. That's me standing in front of my dental office in Nogales, India. Not India. No, what? Jamaica, man. Cool. I lived in Jamaica. I loved it. It was great. And I was lucky. I'm lucky to be up here. I love being here. I love having the opportunity to participate and help the community any way I can. Thank you very much for considering having me come back again. It's been a great couple of years for me, and I've got 30 seconds, so hey. You know, like I said, I've done a lot for the state of Arizona and the United States, being a health director for a long time. I started the first dental school in Arizona, was dean for 10 years, and that worked out to be a great project as well. So I'm honored to have this ability to do the things I've done, and I look forward to continuing to do good things here in Jerome. Thank you very much.
Hello everybody, this is Sharif. Well, so I came from the Midwest, from Ohio, and brought my family here. Kind of a history of how we got here. About 15 years ago, I landed in Arizona for business. Learned about the history of Jerome, came up here one day and really kind of got into the vibe, understanding what things were going on, and it really gravitated me here. And every time I would stop into Arizona, I would come back here. I'd have lunch, kind of visit everybody, got to know some people in town. Brought my wife up here one time for one of our anniversaries, and shoot, about 10 years ago, she says, you know, could you imagine living up here because of the vibe, the people, and what was happening. Being a creative myself, I became a copy machine. I worked for a tech industry, but I'm an artist, and, you know, coming to Jerome, starting to draw the energy out of me, that's part of it, but being able to be lucky enough to find a place to live here in Jerome, bring my family, raise my daughter, and get involved. I was asked about 6 months into moving here if I would be a part of planning and zoning. Why? I'm a part of a business. My job is basically on the West Coast, and I'm a solutions guy. People come to me with their problems, and I uncover different types of fixes and solutions to get them to where they need, whether it be something that is cost effective, whether it's something that has to be expensive based on what they're trying to accomplish. But those are the types of things. I'm a humanist. I love human beings. I'm a community guy. I'm not a politician. When I was asked humbly by some of the residents here to be a part of this, I balked at it for a little while, and then I got involved, unfortunately, when Sage Harvey had to step down for losing her house at the time and moving away. I came in, and then I voted, I got voted in by some pretty wonderful people. I'm glad to be doing this again, and working on trying to find as much funding and help for all of us, affordable housing, all of the infrastructure, to get the town where it needs to be historically, and moving it into the future for another 150 years. That's what I want to do. Thanks.
It is so hard to not clap for these people. Can I just say that? Anyways, thank you guys for having me. I am stoked to be here. My name is Becca Miller. I've been visiting for about 10 years. When I was a seasonal with the National Park Service, I spent all my vacation time coming here, and I eventually switched to the Forest Service so I could live here because I fell in love with this place deeply, as most of us did. I love the vibe. I fell in love with the community. Halloween is actually what hooked me. It's just such a lovely place. The history, I could go on. But I know what it means to be a civil servant. I have worked for the federal government for over 12 years in different agencies, and I've worked with federal, state, county, town, and tribal entities throughout my career, and I love policy. I think there's something wrong with me. So I think the juice and the squeeze is in the policy, and I know how to read policy and procedure. I know how to make effective and positive change on the ground through that. I've spent my whole career balancing visitation with protection of a resource, and it's kind of different here because it's the historic town of Jerome versus like trees and lakes and rivers, but I'm no stranger to welcoming our tourists while also protecting what makes it special. I have been on the Planning and Zoning Commission, 30 seconds, Planning and Zoning Commission for 2.5 years and I'm the vice chair. I'm a board director for the Jerome Historic Society. I volunteer when I can with the fire department, and I just love giving my time and talents to this amazing community, and I would love the opportunity to serve you folks. So thank you.
Thank you, Becca. Sonia? My name is Sonia. I came here via the Grand Canyon from North Carolina in 2014. I had the opportunity to visit Jerome when I had time off from the canyon and obviously fell in love with it. My inspiration for running for council initially 4 years ago was the input that I got from so many other people in the community about how they had served their time and how it would be my turn at some point. One of the things that really kind of hooked me and just made it seem like something I could do was my boss at the time was Jake Kinsella, and he would tell stories about being the bartender at Paul and Jerry's and also the mayor. And I just thought that was the quirkiest, most like grassroots, like hometown, like hands-on, like thing anybody could hope for. And it gave me a lot of motivation, believing that I could be myself and make a difference. So 4 years later, I am still motivated and committed to do the best I can for the community. One thing that is a super priority for me at this moment is getting as much community input as I can, because regardless of what I think and how I feel, what matters most is how we feel. And so I look forward to a more community involved couple of years ahead of us, because it's going to be important. It takes a village to run a village, and we need to work together.
Good evening, my name is Tyler Christianson. I was born and raised here in Jerome, with extended family ties in this town going back 5 generations. Jerome is my home. It's where I bought my first house, where I'm raising my family, where I intend to remain and serve for the long term. For the last 13 years, I've served this town in practical, hands-on ways. I've worked for the town crew, volunteered with the fire department, worked directly with the town's water sources and wastewater facility, and served 7 years on the design review board, including 5 years as chair. That experience has given me a strong, practical understanding of Jerome's systems, its strengths, its vulnerabilities, and the challenges ahead. I understand that Jerome is historic, fragile, unique, and worth protecting. But I also understand that protecting Jerome requires more than good intentions. It requires maintenance, planning, cooperation, and responsible action. I'm running because I want to help keep Jerome reliable, resilient, functional, independent, and livable. My priorities are a strong infrastructure, neighborly cooperation between staff, leaders, and residents, support for the people who live and work here, and careful preservation of the character that makes Jerome unlike anywhere else. I did not come into this with any motives or personal agendas. I care about this town. I care about my neighbors. I want to see Jerome thrive as a real community, not just today, but for the generations that come after us. I'm available to speak with anyone who wants to talk about Jerome and its future and work ahead. Thank you.
Hi, folks. My name is Kacey. I am just a small town Iowa girl who fled the farm about 15 years ago, and Jerome has been my home and community for many years. I care deeply about preserving what makes our town special. Through my work and daily interactions as a bartender of the local watering hole with residents and visitors, I've observed opportunities and challenges that are facing Jerome. I decided to run for town council because I want to be an active part in protecting our unique character and community and ensuring that Jerome remains a vibrant place to live, work, and visit for generations to come. My goal is to help build a future where Jerome remains creative, historic, welcoming, and community-centered. And a town that honors the past while thoughtfully preparing for its future. I feel this kind of like responsibility after living here for so long because this community has been so welcoming and loving to me, because when I came here, I was just like a wild child in my 20s. I moved here on my 22nd birthday weekend. So now I kind of have like, I feel like it's my turn to like kind of help preserve like this historic and artistic character. And I feel like it's important that we have a government and council that listens to its residents. And like my goal is not necessarily to stop change that's inevitable, but it's to make sure that the change benefits the people of Jerome and that the townspeople are listened to and heard. And if we need to adapt how we communicate and interact with everybody, then we'll do it. Like whether it's, placing more things that people can access it, like changing the font style, or if we need to voice record everything, or make it even more easily digestible for people to understand it. Like that's what we're here to do, is to serve you guys. Thanks.
Thank you, Kacey. Would you be so kind as to pass the microphone back up to Alex, because we're going to start with Alex and the next set of questions. This particular question comes from the League of Women Voters of Northern Arizona, and you each have 2 minutes to respond to this question. What is your vision for your community over the next decade? And how will you balance development with preserving Jerome's history, local character, and quality of life? If you need me at any time to repeat that question because it's a big one, I'm glad to do it. Alex, would you like to get us started?
Yes. I envision the state giving us some relief against vacation rentals. We have a good chance, maybe this legislative session. Jerome has 30 active vacation rentals. Jerome used to have 500 people. We have about 330 that live here now. We're trying to come up with options for residential, like the Hotel Jerome. It needs multi-millions of dollars to get it ready to have people live there. To keep Jerome community centered and to keep supporting each other, continue to capture as much revenue as we can to continue to upgrade our aging infrastructure, to continue to, behind the dais, listen to everyone that comes to show up. If you read the agendas, we would love for you to come participate in the council meetings. We give you time to talk. We're very honest, we're very open, and we try to do what's best for Jerome. I don't know what else we can do at this point. I don't know if everyone in this room is aware that we're the number 3 thing to do in Arizona. The Grand Canyon, Sedona, Jerome. So I continue to try to make the best decisions that I can behind the dais. If you elect me, I will continue to do that. Thank you.
Jack?
Remember,
Would you like me to repeat the components? Okay. The first thing we're asking is, what is your vision for Jerome over the next 10 years? And the second part is, how will you balance development with preserving Jerome's history, local character, and quality of life?
thank you. I think over the next 10 years, I'd love to see Jerome continue to be a wonderful place to live and have a meaningful effect on its community. I look at the number going down. When I moved here, we were over 400. Now we're under 400. We had a lot of old geezers like me that passed away. I wanted to see what we can do to maintain a good population that is cared for and that cares for the community. I think we've got some great opportunities here. Our location is spectacular. The opportunity to make a positive difference in Arizona is there, and I think we need to take advantage of that. And I think the council has been doing that, and I want to see it continue. I think working together is an important part of that, and being respectful of each other. There's no secret to this. It's just a matter of Jerome is a special place. There are a lot of people that have never been here that live in Arizona, and I think we can certainly encourage people to be here and maybe even do some innovative things to increase the income level, if you will, of people that are living here and make a positive difference in the community. Yeah, that's about it. Thank you so much.
Issy?
Yes, thank you. So beginning of my vision of 10 years from now, my vision is to see Hotel Jerome become workforce housing, something for people to be able to live in. That's the positive growth I think I can see in town, because it's historic. It's part of who we are and what we are, from the history of the mines to the new birth of the town and where we are today. I myself quite literally have been digging in the dirt with finding as many grant funds as I can for this town. Believe it or not, we actually won one for Hotel Jerome, and you'll see that come out at some point, to start some of that process again. So that's the vision of trying to make affordable housing and see with the way the economy's going, how do we get people to stay comfortable while they're here, while also supporting other artists, musicians, and kind of what has created the new birth of Jerome to stay alive, which also supports the commerce in town and all the businesses. If we can have affordable housing, then that helps the businesses. If we can make it affordable to allow the musicians and the artists to come into town and stay here. The history of this town is amazing to me, and I think that's part of it. When we talk about development, it goes back to Hotel Jerome. If everything that's planned we can do in the next few years, yes, it's going to take some money, but if we persevere like we've been doing and digging in that dirt, looking for grant funding to help us, we can get there. It's the same thing of helping with the garbage truck and really putting the voice out there. We needed it. I stepped up while I was on the council. I said, we're going to do it, and we did it. And we sold a house to try to offset that. We bought a house to try to help with workforce housing to bring PD and different people into play. I think that's how it's going to work, is we keep doing what we do. And we keep personifying all the artists and the musicians and trying to make it as affordable as possible. And if there is reform, every time I go to a LAP conference, like what Arizona City's, I'm a networking person. I love to talk to people and get in there with the politicians. I'm not a politician, but I want to help.
Okay, I love this question because I get to daydream about 10 years of amazing Jerome stuff. So in my mind, I see vibrant small businesses. I see people who work here, get to live here and afford to live here. Plentiful amounts of community events. People are neighborly. Families live here. I want to see more people with kids. We all love like the 7 children that live in town. It'd be nice to have like 8, you know? And what I'd really like to see, what we have to have happen is participation in government and other organizations in people in their 20s to 40s. It's time for us to pick up the torch and continue the amazing work that our previous generation has laid for us. We need to continue the work on the infrastructure, continue the great work, again, that council has already been doing. I think we need to really focus on being proactive about the short-term rental issues instead of reactive. I feel like the town, something shows up on our plate and then we're like, oh, what are we going to do about this here? Now we have to figure this out now that we have an application. I would like to see us do more research and studying about what could be coming to our plates so we have a game plan before it shows up with a person. I'd like to see us remain non-commercial, like large entities. If people want to come to Jerome and have McDonald's, I don't want this to be the place. And I think we need to find a good balancing act between welcoming our tourists wholeheartedly and also prioritizing our residents in maybe more ways than what we're able to do right now. So that's my vision. Thank you.
Okay, so our history has already been pretty much locked in. The reason that we have our National Historic Landmark status is because Jerome was essentially an untouched example of Western mining in the 1800s. So we earned that, which has benefited us the entire time. One, because of that National Historic Landmark status, it definitely limited the amount of development, and mostly development, I would say, like corporate takeover that could have happened between then and now. So we already have our history technically locked in. Our National Historic Landmark designation is super important for that reason, in that it limits how much development can actually occur, because it also will keep ADOT from making 89A 4 lanes through the middle of town. Our local culture and history, I think a lot of us will probably identify a little bit more with like the last 40 to 50 years. The people that showed up in like the 70s and rebuilt it to what we have, which has made it the place that we all want to be. So I definitely want to preserve that and continue that tradition. One of our biggest challenges, SDRs are a thing. There's only so much we can do at the moment until state legislation changes. Yes, we can be proactive in fostering that change, and we can have a clear idea of what we want to do when we are allowed to make that change. These are all conversations that we can have ahead of time. But one of our biggest daily challenges, I think, is really going to be balancing our dependency on visitation and our quality of life for residents. Which, again, brings me to the point that everyone in this room, your opinion and your point of view of that especially is going to be helpful to council and other members of different boards in the very, very near future. Thank you.
My vision for Jerome over the next decade is to manage the town's evolution with care, competence, and respect for what makes this place irreplaceable. Jerome is going to change. The question is whether that change is managed deliberately or whether we avoid hard decisions until problems become more expensive and more difficult to fix. I believe that preservation and progress are not opposites. In Jerome, real preservation requires maintenance. It means protecting our historic character, but also taking care of the infrastructure that allows residents, families, workers, and local businesses to remain here. I was born and raised in Jerome. I bought my first home here. I'm raising my family here. And I've served this town for many years through the Public Works, the Fire Department, Historical Preservation Board. And through that work, I've learned that Jerome's systems are unique and fragile, historic and essential. Our water and our wastewater systems, the roads, buildings, and the public spaces, these require leadership that understands both the history and the practical realities of keeping a small town functioning. So my vision is simple. Preserve Jerome by strengthening it. That means planning ahead, maintaining what we already have, making responsible infrastructure investments, supporting useful local businesses, and keeping Jerome livable for residents rather than allowing it to become a place where only visitors and short-term rentals can afford to exist. Our town seal says respect for the past, looking to the future. I take that seriously. I do not want Jerome to lose its character. I want Jerome to remain neighborly, family-friendly, historically grounded, and resilient enough that our children can love this town, afford to live here, and serve it.
Hi, it's me again. My vision for Jerome over the next decade is to strengthen our community while preserving our unique character, history, and sense of place that make our town special. I want Jerome to remain a vibrant and welcoming place where residents can afford to live, local businesses can thrive, artists and musicians can continue contributing to our culture, and visitors can experience the authentic Jerome we so all love. A strong community starts with a strong community engagement. I believe in proactive outreach, transparency, and creating more opportunities for residents to participate in local decision-making. The people who live and work here should have a meaningful voice in shaping Jerome's future. Jerome has always been a resilient community. It has reinvented itself several times before, and we can do it again. I believe we can preserve our history, support local businesses, protect our neighborhoods, and ensure people who live and work here have the opportunity, the people who work here have the opportunity to live here. My commitment to this town and to this council, if elected, is to listen, work collaboratively, and to make thoughtful decisions that serve both today's residents and future generations. That's it.
Thank you. Would you pass the mic back up so Jane can respond to this question?
I love everything you all said, and I agree with everything. The STR situation has been really bad for this town. I think we have lost a lot of our longtime residents, and I think we need to continue to work with the state to try to get the ability for towns to regulate vacation rentals better than we do. I want to see people be able to live here, work here, enjoy their lives here. And I hear from people in the shop all the time that that's what the visitors like too. That we're so different than all the other communities. And that we're not growing and changing just overnight. And I think our growth rate has been not too bad. We might have a house or two a year built and infill. And so it's not overwhelming to people. People love the fact that we have preserved the houses. I'd like to see fewer houses fall down, and if we can help people to preserve their houses, I think that would be an important thing to do. I really want to see the business people and people who live here be able to work together to preserve the town. It's definitely a town worth preserving, and then, as I said, I think we're really different than most places. Topography has slowed things down as far as large developments, and I think we're all a creative bunch here, and I think we can all figure it out together how we're going to grow. And we always like people to show up at council meetings with input, and I really like that about the town as well. So I'd like to continue the way we've gone.
Thank you, Jane. The candidates have responded to the questions they had prior to this forum. Now we're going to move to the second part. They are not aware of the questions that I'm going to be asking. These questions were solicited by the League of Women Voters from the public prior to the forum. So let's start with the first one, and I believe Jack is going to have the mic. Here's the question. Please share your understanding of the council manager form of government. How would you balance supporting the town manager's professional expertise with the council's responsibility to provide leadership, represent the community, and help set policy direction? It is a 2-minute question.
Sounds like a 2-day question.
Do you want me to say it again? You got it? Okay.
You know, I think the important issue is that we work together. We all care about this lovely community and town. I think whether you're on the council, whether you're living here, working here, and I think we need to look at ways, how do we come together in a way that's going to benefit the entire community? Whether we get grants that we are getting now that are really exciting, that are going to help us improve the community, and I think that's been a great step forward, and I think we need to continue that. How do we help Jerome be more livable, effective, protection? You know, there's so many communities in Arizona now where young people have guns, people are getting shot. It's horrible when I get to hear and see on the news. And I think we have an opportunity to make a difference here in a town that we all love, we all care about, and we all want to make sure succeeds in providing great homes for wonderful people. So let's figure working together, being effective, and doing it in a way that the whole town benefits. Thank you.
Sure. Go ahead.
I'm going to repeat the question. Please share your understanding of the council manager form of government. How will you balance supporting the town manager's professional expertise with the council's responsibility to provide leadership, represent the community, and help set policy direction?
Thank you for
2 minutes.
All right. So council, town manager, kumbaya, right? The reality is the residents are the most important thing. It's my job, it's all the people here that you're going to vote for's job to take in everything that you want, everything that you need, everything that you see, and then relay that to the town manager and push for what is needed. The town manager has his business professionalism of what he knows from other towns and things that he's worked at. The diocese itself chose the individual, and that's part of it, and we chose through trust, through interview processes and whatnot. I was not a part of that process. Humbly, I was after he had come in. But the reality is when somebody like Marty came to me and says, you guys just bought a house. Why? When I need a 20-year garbage truck. And I go, Marty, you're right. That's my bad that I overlooked that. So my job at that point was to immediately go right to Brett and everybody else and go, where's the money? I want a garbage truck. Because if we don't get a garbage truck, we're going to lose an amazing staff. That is how the council and the town manager work together. Our job is to listen to all of you, make those informed decisions, and then drive that through the manager to get it done. And if we don't like it, if you don't like it, you shoot flares in the ears right at us and say, hey, we don't see what's going on, we don't see the town manager, we don't see this or that. And it's our job to start scrutinizing and getting that to be more kumbaya. If you have a fear in something, you hired us to try to rectify that, right? And I tell people all the time, if you're on the town crew, fire department, resident, whatever, if you're getting hassled by somebody from the resident, somebody that's even a tourist, call me. Councilman Sharif will come right marching downtown if I'm not there, and literally I will intervene. It's about all of us. We need their funds and we need the tourism, but we need all of you. And when you have a problem or a challenge, then it's our job to go to the town manager and go, hey, we need to do this. Thank you.
It's a heck of a question. Somebody in town submitted that? Wow, well thought out. So I view council and town manager, I see that the same way I see being a supervisor. I do not see myself as being in charge. I see myself as the gopher for my staff, and I would apply that the same way if I were elected to town council, where my job is not to be in charge, my job is to support the town members and get their opinions and amplify voices that might not otherwise be amplified. So I also think that the relationship between the town manager and council is designed to hold each other accountable and to work collaboratively, obviously. So again, I don't view councils as the ones who are in charge or, they rubber stamp things, they end up making the decision, but it should be a reflection of what the community feels. I think Jerome has done a good job of making notes available, right? We have it digital, we have it audio, you can come in person, but I would like to see it be easier, even easier for community members to contribute. That could look like public forums outside of council meetings. It could look like submit your comments here button on our .gov website. People have opinions, maybe be able to make it anonymous. Anyways, that's how I feel about that. What a question. Oh my God.
So my idea, the council and manager, and what I see relationship is we set the priorities. We as council have the opportunity every budget season to prioritize different major projects and what we would like to see done, which we prioritize based on feedback from the community. So it's council's responsibility essentially to be the liaison, in my opinion, between the residents and the paid town staff, the ones that can actually get the paperwork done. I support most everything you said about trying to make it easier for the residents to know what's happening and giving them more of an opportunity to have an input. Sometimes I've heard that folks will reach out to the town manager about something and not necessarily get the response that they feel like they deserve. And my suggestion to them is come to council. There's an opportunity every meeting for the public to speak. And whether or not we are allowed to address your concerns at that moment, it certainly goes on record, and then we are certainly able to put it on a future agenda and direct staff to address it. So the community input is super duper important. My relationship with our town manager has been amazing. He has made himself very available for me whenever I have any questions, spending, an hour or two at a time to answer my random list of questions back and forth. So my relationship with our current town manager is quite good, and I do encourage the residents and the community to put the council to work for them in that regard of being the liaison to the paid staff.
My experience with staff here in town is through the Design Review Board. Been on it for 7 years, been doing it for 5 years as chair, and I haven't worked very closely with the town manager yet, but the way I see it is that the town manager and all the staff in the office are tools for this council to utilize so that we can inform ourselves on things that we, aren't strong at. We all have strengths that we bring to this, and we can use the staff to help us fill the gaps in our strengths. I remember watching Candace back during council meetings, and she would sit right next to the zoning administrator, and she would answer questions and be very involved in those council meetings. I've worked more closely with zoning administrator and the town clerk doing the minutes for our meetings, and between just those two individuals, those meetings run smooth because of them, because of their preparation. And it makes my job really easy. When I can sit down, I can see a really well-made packet, and it's very easy to make decisions because of how well they prepare for us. So I'm excited to work with the town manager, if I get the privilege, and I will utilize all the staff in the office to inform me so I can be prepared to make the best decisions for this.
This is going to be an exciting answer. I learned more from all of your answers than I know about the answer to my, how to answer this question. I am so new to government and learning about things, so I will have to get back to you. What I've observed with town council meetings is that there is a lot of communication between the town manager and council. But I'm humble enough to not make anything up or to cherry pick all of their answers. So, to be continued.
My experience as far as dealing with the town manager and my understanding of it, council, as a result of hearing what other staff, like the town crew, zoning administrator, all those people, as well as our community members, that we set goals and capital improvement plans and the manager helps the town carry all those out. And there needs to be a back and forth. The council goes to the town manager with issues. The community hopefully will come to council meetings and bring whatever issues they have. And town crew will say, oh, we have a major break in a water line or whatever, and this needs to all be replaced. And then we need a really good working relationship with the town manager. The town manager should be implementing what the council wants done in the town, as well as the council reflecting what the public and the town needs.
Jerome has a council manager form of government. The council makes decisions behind the dais. The manager sets the agenda. We also have things on our agenda from the petitions from the public that was brought up. When there is a petition from the public, we cannot discuss it fully, but we can put it on our next meeting as an item. We are absolutely allowed to respond to criticism. So there's certain things that have to happen that the manager puts in the agenda. If we have anything, everyone behind the dais is aware that if we want something put on there, we bring it to Brett and it comes on our agenda. We are allowed to talk to department heads. We can't do direction. We're supposed to go through the town manager. So council manager form of government, the manager we usually hire, he fires. So I have faith that Brett is a able manager. He has really been doing great with the grant funding. And again, if anyone has anything on their minds, you can email us, you can call us, you can come, do a petition from the public. We also have budget meetings, many budget meetings. Those are things that set what we're going to do the next year as far as priorities. Thank you.
Thank you. Would you pass the mic to Izzy? Because the next portion of questions is kind of like a lightning round. You have 1 minute to respond to this question, so when you see the stop, pass the mic to the next person and we'll just keep going, okay? I won't have to interrupt with next turn, okay? Are you ready?
Sounds good, great.
Okay, here's the first one. How should the town address long-term water reliability and conservation?
Water is life. So paying attention to everything that is water and monitoring it is the most important thing in the world. We are a small town, we have a small crew, so any type of tools, tricks of the trade that we have or we can learn is honestly most important. Protecting the water is most important. Not talking about it other than we have it and not letting people know where it's at. And to be honest with you, the reality of that water, and that's like, when I say that, I'm like outwardly to like other towns and cities, we don't really explain to them where the water's coming from, because we protect it. And that's the reality of it. We have a mountain that is serving us, and as long as we take care of it and we don't spoil the waters and dump thousands of gallons down the mountain, and we preserve and conserve, we have a long time ahead of us. But I think we have to just be mindful of that. Thank you.
Am I answering the same question?
You are.
Okay. So I think the town moved in a good direction with the very controversial water meters. I think it's good to know exactly how much water we're using and at which locations, not for policing purposes, but just to have data. I believe that government decisions should be driven by hard data, because we all have big emotions and we can make not the best decisions if we're following our emotions versus like hard black and white stuff. So first I want to say I appreciate that work that the council did in that direction. Also, I think it'd be really cool to educate the public on where our water comes from water table looks like. I learned a lot, honestly. Tyler did a video, and you work in water. I learned a lot from listening to him. And I think everybody in town would probably, turn the water, oh, shit, stop, oh. I get to finish my sentence, right? I think people might turn the water off when they're brushing their teeth if they know how valuable and special our water is. Sorry for cussing.
Okay, if I remember correctly, it's long-term water reliability and conservation. Long-term water reliability, we do have prioritized in the very near future major repairs to our major water lines, which would be the two that come directly into town. That's going to be super beneficial in our reliability aspect. We also have sort of prioritized in the future possibly wells and extra storage tanks, which will give us more water. So we're working on fixing lines that are in desperate repair that feed the town, and we are actively thinking about storage options and increasing our capacity to do so.
Water in Jerome it's extremely unique. It's not like any other town in the country. We don't have a normal water table like, for example, Phoenix or Tucson. When they draw water out of the ground, they're capturing water that is thousands of years old. And when they use it all up, it's going to take thousands of years for it to rebuild in those aquifers. For us, it's different. So water water conservation it's tricky in this town. Basically, we need to use it as wisely as we can, because we don't want to waste water, but we have an extremely rechargeable aquifer. We get good snow, good rain in 1 year, we fill our aquifer back up. But it needs to be preserved. That's the key thing. For us, conservation is protection of the watershed. We need to protect Phoenix Mountain, we need to protect Woodchute Mountain, we need to make sure that take care of it.
So water is awesome because while it is a renewable resource, it is finite. So it is definitely one of the most valuable resources. I do love what the town is doing with their continued conservation efforts, and I do support the idea of taking care of updating our water systems, the pipes and all that, before it becomes an actual problem. Because we need to plan responsibility for our future needs and always support the future infrastructure improvements. Because wastewater get hotter, baby.
Tyler's right, we're not like other communities pumping the aquifers and growing faster and more than probably sustainable water that the communities have. And fixing leaks is really important. And I remember a long time ago, we used to just look at if the overflow was running or not, and know whether we had enough water or not. And when it wasn't running, everybody would run around town, don't water anything, stop taking showers, whatever, don't wash your car because we don't have enough water. And we need to be mindful of large water user businesses coming into town, I think, in some manner. And if we continue to not have snowpack on the mountain, I think we're going to have to worry about our water source being less than it has been. And we're already seeing that in some instances.
Jerome's water system is different than anywhere else. We use gravity-fed spring water. According to the water hydrologist, she said our water was between 200 and 50 years old. So I don't know how quickly it fills back up, but we hope it always does. We do water conservation strategies when it gets hot to try to, keep as much as we can in town. We have vast amounts of water lines. We have different infrastructure repairs that are in the pipeline that I really hope we can get done in this next couple of years. So, smart water meters, helping to protect your neighbor from your water pipes flooding their house out. I do believe we're doing all we can to protect our water system. That again is different than anywhere else in Arizona, maybe the whole U.S. Thank you.
I think you heard everything we could say. You know, we're doing a lot about the water issue. We're doing good. It's getting better, and I think it's important. The good news is people are paying attention that water is important. Just don't ignore what's going on. I mean, pay attention to it. Make sure it's safe. Make sure it's working, and we're doing it. And it seems really good. We've heard it from everyone. And I think for all of you that are here, this is something you have to contemplate and consider to continue that we maintain the direction we're going in as best we can and getting more funding when it's available.
Thank you. Becca, will you get the mic for the first response on the next one? 1 minute. What role should the town play in addressing affordable housing?
Okay, 1 minute?
1 minute.
Okay. Okay, so you can't talk about affordable housing without talking about short-term rentals in Jerome, unfortunately. So, again, working towards finding a balance with that. I do like what's happening with the Hotel Jerome. I know council has worked very hard over the years to move that project forward, and I think we need to continue with tenacity with that project. Yeah, it's tough when you're talking about people's private property. When people purchase homes in town, this is America. But again, what I said previously about short-term rentals, I think we need to start looking at opportunities within our zoning. I think we need to pay attention to what's happening in the state legislature and communicate heavily with them. And I don't know, I'm sure we've thought about this, but utilizing our status as a historic preserved area and maybe getting exceptions to some of the roadblocks that we've run into in the past. And I went over again. Thank you.
I agree with Becca. I think you can't talk about affordable housing without talking about STRs, and I think we've all stated where we're kind of at with that. There could be opportunities for modifications to zoning that could encourage like higher density residential areas. I'm not entirely sure it's right for Jerome. There could be opportunities for the town to offer incentives for long-term leases versus short-term leases. That would take a lot of discussion with town and staff to make sure that we were operating within our boundaries in that regard. The Hotel Jerome, I love the idea that we have secured some funds to at least make that space usable, because as it is, it's not for anything, whether it's residential or commercial. As that project continues to move forward, I think it would be prudent to consider the best use for that space.
When it comes to affordable housing in Jerome, we're doing some stuff right now, and that's with the Hotel Jerome. And I think that we need to see that through and finish it before we start looking in other areas. But once we finish that, the one thing I think we have in our toolbox to fight short-term rentals is acquiring homes and having the town of Jerome being that responsible property owner that can provide housing not only to just the workers, but people who want to live in town. And, you know, right now that's probably our only way to fight the short-term rentals. And we also want to make sure that we maintain these homes if we decide to go down that route. And it's a great way that we can preserve the town, because we can get grants easier if the town is a property owner. And excited to see something like that happen. Maybe that's not our only tool, but right now I think that is one of the main things that we can utilize.
I personally have been calling Jerome's housing affordability issue the canary in the copper mine, because, you know, to me, it's like the first alarm bell to go off and like what's failing our community, because without housing, we lose workers, we lose workers for the businesses, and without businesses, our community declines. And obviously it starts with the short-term rentals. And the only thing I can really think of to do with them, on our house level, on our town level, is, you know, like higher taxes on them, figuring out a way to have other codes on them, and then also us combining as a town and stepping up to the state and saying, like, we're not gonna do this anymore. That's it. Thank you.
Okay. But STRs, for sure, we need to keep working with the state to try to find ways to regulate them better. And I think that restoring the Hotel Jerome and having housing in there would be an ideal situation, not having the town necessarily is managing it, but having the town own it, so that's about the only way that we can control rents. And I think I'd love to get a bunch of people together from town to come up with some creative ways to deal with this situation as well. Perhaps having some of the houses that are falling down and empty, help to fix them up as rentals, maybe incentives for people to do that. And it's something we really need to do to keep people here. It's great to have people who work here in town, live here in town, and not having to drive up and down the hill.
What role should the town play in addressing affordable housing?
Is there affordable housing left in Arizona? Is there affordable housing in the Verde Valley? Since 2019, the price of houses in the Verde Valley have risen by 60%. I think the viable option would be the Hotel Jerome. I think the other incentives and trying to buy all the houses up, those all sound really good, but I think the only shot we've got right now is vacation rental reform, where we can actually cap it and try to do something about it. If you have a vacation rental next to you that will get shut down if they get 30 violations in a year, we can help each other by getting rid of a few of them. I just think at this point, it is a really hard fight. I did hear that the price of houses are going to go down in the next year, so fingers crossed that that'll happen. But anyone that moved here and bought a $500,000 house is probably not going to be able to move out and sell it for that much. Thank you.
Well, I think that's it. It's low price housing is a critical issue. I think we have to be able to maintain the housing, and I just don't want to see the housing go to investors outside the state of Arizona that are just going to try to make money. I think we need to do better than that. And we can. And we're doing it in small cases. And I think there's some opportunities for us as a group to see what strategies can we put in place to have good housing, good pricing, and good value for the people who live here.
It's a great question. So obviously we've said the Hotel Jerome. I look at it a little bit differently. I feel if Jerome wants to control Jerome against STRs, then we have to try to bring some kind of a land trust within Jerome with a nonprofit that can build that, purchase homes away from the investors in the short terms, bring them into some form of a trust or a nonprofit sort of rental scenario to where you can make it affordable for folks. Austin, Texas does it for their artists. Bisbee, I've been talking to people down in Bisbee where they revitalized and bought back some of their homes and then spun them for their residents. So I believe there is a way to do it and get affordable housing, but it's going to take a community. It's going to take potentially offering some type of bonuses for people instead of having short terms and making them more long term. And then lastly, ordinance changes to be able to do more R2s when you have multiple people in homes, you know. Thank you.
Okay, Sonia, next question. You've touched on some of the things already, talking about water and affordable housing. So this is a long question. I'll be happy to read it twice if necessary. We have seen a growing trend at the state level to disempower local governments and tie their hands regarding things like short-term rentals, local zoning, local revenues, affordable housing, and more. What do you feel are the best strategies to address this trend going forward? 1 minute. This is still the lightning round. Do you want me to say it again, or you got it?
One more time.
One more time. We have seen a growing trend at the state level to disempower local governments and tie their hands regarding things like short-term rentals, local zoning, local revenues, affordable housing, and more. What do you feel are the best strategies to address this trend going forward?
Okay, so we've talked pretty extensively about the short-term rental issue that we're all dealing with. I think it's important as far as states trying to regulate the revenues and how communities spend them. We need to make sure that the home rule stays active in our community. We have tools like the League of Arizona Cities and Towns. They pass resolutions every year with municipalities' best interests at heart. Most of them do concern these talking points. So a council member's presence in those forums can be helpful with in an organization that actually has a little bit more but teeth. They have a stronger presence than we would on our own. That's really it.
I think we can accomplish this on multiple fronts. There's the leadership that can be the figurehead at the state level, or other events, whatever it takes to get the word out there that we don't agree with this kind of thing. They can try and tie our hands, but we can always adapt. We just have to be creative. Instead of getting mad and feeling like we're stuck, we can just be creative. This is a creative community. And another thing that we can do at our local level is have a strong community that puts the vibe out there that we don't want short-term rentals. We don't want private investors to come in here. We want our community to be tight-knit. And so we can reach out to our friends and family and welcome newcomers that are high-valued individuals that can help this town thrive and preserve it. That's the best way we can probably do it, is by bringing people in that are going to live here and contribute instead of just letting things happen because we feel like we have our hands tied. We don't. We can adapt. We can figure this out.
Okay, so my understanding of Jerome is that we are a town of intellectuals, innovators, and rebels. So let's start there. So I know if we come together, and also I recently learned about the League of Arizona Cities and Towns as well, and we're also creative. And I feel like this is something that we could deal with. And when we get mad, we get creative. And that's it. Oh, I still have 30 seconds. Anyways, I think we're a town of awesome people who could really address this with our intellect and do it. I'm open open to any ideas on how you want to go forward with this.
Do I need to repeat the question, or you got it? You got it, okay.
I've been watching this happen in the state legislature as well as around the country for quite a few years and getting worse. That it's, local control is being taken away. Who knows better, what's better for their communities than the local people, as long as it's, you know, complying with federal laws, etc. But we're having less and less ability under the threat of having state shared revenues taken away. I think we really need to look at this not only on a local and state level, but also a federal level, because communities are being sued by law firms when they say, oh, we can't have this type of development because we don't have enough water, or we can't have this high density for whatever reasons, or noise, or pollution, and they're being told, no, you have to do this, and I don't think it's right at all.
One size fits all is never good for Jerome. In the last 6 years, there have been quite a few overreaching laws that have said everyone has to do this. Have you noticed how different we are from everywhere else? We have the League of Cities and Towns, we have senators, we have legislators, we have representatives. You can reach out to all of them when they bring out these, I'm going to call them the bad bills. Then we have the governor that can veto them. A little caveat on that is the zoning ordinance that was brought up a couple times. We are a National Historic Landmark, so we are a historic district. So sometimes we get lucky and we're a historic district, so it doesn't pertain to us. Getting creative, doing whatever we need to do, being the squeaky wheel that gets the oil, that is the only way we're going to get anywhere. So working together, working with everyone else that you can possibly get to listen to you and hear you. Lobbying is also an option. Thank you.
You'd like me to repeat it? Okay. We have seen a growing trend at the state level to disempower local governments and tie their hands regarding things like short-term rentals, local zoning, local revenues, affordable housing, and more. What do you feel are the best strategies to address this trend going forward?
I think the trend sucks, but I think we need to bring it back to the community. You know, Jerome is a special place, and I think we need to control, direct, and what we do. And I don't think we should just rely on the federal government, these other agencies, to do these things within Jerome. I think we have the ability and should be able to do it. And the more we do that, I think the better off we're going to be.
So if I'm re-elected to be as a council member, I'm going to actually continue doing what I'm doing. So when I went to the LAC conference and it was popped up last year, I requested that we had a short-term rental conversation. Scott from down the hill in Sedona was on that panel. He actually called me up. I grabbed a microphone and I spun around on the Airbnb guy and talked to the entire community behind me. He says, what does it take to have businesses? Community. Who has community? Families. And so on and so forth. The reality is this, we need to go and partner with all the small towns like ourselves, and the reality is one voice against the government, straight up. The states don't care about us. The big cities below us don't care about us. If the small towns with the populations and the drive we have to continue our communities, that's how we're going to do it. So we got to go to NACOG, we got to go to the WIFAs, we got to go to the governments. We have to network with other towns and make our voice loud. We are a small town with a loud voice, but in order to make it louder and echo it off this mountain, we must rally the rest of the troops that are the small towns along with us to drive it to Capitol Hill.
Yeah, I love what I'm hearing. I think working with other communities in similar situations and utilizing organizations like we've been talking about is super important. being the squeaky wheel. The town has declared states of emergency previously in council meetings, like with the housing. I think that was in 2024. I think making it on record, official document, I think is great. I think we can continue to make as much noise as possible and put it official in the record like that. I like that. I also think a huge part of this, I'm paying attention to you this time. I'm not going to miss. I think educating the community on what they can do and breaking down complex policies into easily digestible formats for the general public is massive. Letting the people understand these complex policies, where the rub is coming from, and what to do about it is our responsibility as your local government to give that to you.
Okay, I just got a question from Jack. How much more are we gonna have? It is 7:55 right now, and this forum is scheduled to go to 8:30. Around 8:16 or so, we will stop the interaction with the questions that have been provided by voters and move to your closing remarks. So that's my understanding of the agenda. So hang in there. We have about 15 minutes before we're going to shift gears. Okay? And there's a lot of questions from the voters, so we won't get to all the questions. I'll do one more 1-minute version, and then we're going to shift to a couple of questions that are a minute and a half, and then we will move to closing remarks. Okay? Okay, here's a 1-minute question, and we're starting with Tyler. What infrastructure improvements should be the town's highest priorities over the next 5 years? Highest priorities.
Highest priorities would be the infrastructure that we don't see. So storage tanks that are out of our site, water lines outside of town limits that are out of our site. These are the areas that get neglected the most. And this is what drove me to be involved in the town in the first place. About 10 years ago, I learned that we were falling behind the state of our infrastructure that we're on. And I took it upon myself to go out there and fix it. I spent probably about $150,000 and done maybe 30 projects that all came in under budget, and took those springs from being in a neglected state and brought them back to something that I can be proud of. And I know that the water is safe, clean, and I'm proud of the work that I've done out there. We need to continue doing that. We also need to continue making sure that our system in town stays intact with our pressure, regulating valves, and we need more storage. That's another way we can conserve water.
Well, the water infrastructure will ensure reliable water delivery systems, address aging pipes, potential leaks, and support conservation efforts. And then obviously we need to take care of our drainage and erosion control and our wastewater system and upgrades. We need to maintain Jerome's infrastructure, not just for today's need, but it also helps preserve our historic town. Investing in the water system and the sewer system and the draining helps prevent more costly repairs later and ensures that we can continue to safely serve both the residents and the visitors of Jerome.
Absolutely, our water infrastructure, because if we don't have enough water, we don't really have a town, we don't have a fire department, we can't protect history, so water infrastructure is absolutely number one. And then I think our sewer system is another thing, our drainage system is another thing, they all work hand in hand. We don't need water building up behind people's houses or on streets and causing erosion. And I would say water number one, and sewer and drainage and protecting all our houses and retaining walls and all that are extremely important. Roads and whatever. Water is definitely the number one. We have lots and lots of infrastructure. To have more storage is wonderful, but room up there where our tank is kind of sketchy. The wastewater treatment facility needs to be upgraded. We have lots of retaining walls in Jerome that are failing. We have a master drainage project, a whole list of items that we got, I think, in 2018 or 2019. Pretty proud to say that we've kind of chewed off about halfway through that document. So continue to keep us from sliding off the mountain because we have too much water, like Jean said, and anyone's behind anything. So water, wastewater, continue to just do what we can. Extra storage for the water is we're going to have to get creative to figure out how we're going to fit more tanks up on that hill. Stopping all major water users, any new huge water users, that's not for Jerome. Thank you.
I agree with both of you on the water sewage, that's critical. We have to do, we learned that this past year, we're making some progress, but we have to continue and keep it as a priority.
Short and sweet. Wastewater, it's going to come off here as soon as we get everything going. Water itself, storage, infrastructure, the whole deal, our roads, the drainage, the retaining walls, all of it, to be honest with you. But as we tick them off, as Alex said, the reality is, wastewater is number one. We're focusing on that, and we're starting to do stuff with water and drainage. Just keep on our path.
I have nothing new to add. I agree with everything that everybody has said, which should make you all feel good because we all agree on what the most important things in town are, which are the perennial issues of water, sewage, drainage, and infrastructure. I could talk, but I have nothing new to add to what everybody has so eloquently said.
Pretty much the same thing. The only thing that I want to add is that we have prioritized a lot of really major projects and should start to see those funded and beginning in the next 2 to 5 years. Some of them include the wastewater treatment plant, the Clark Street, School Street regulators, Verde Avenue construction. Not only are we looking to repave Verde Avenue and Center Avenue, but all of the utility, all the water lines underneath are going to be replaced. All this stuff has been prioritized and funding is being sought.
I'm ready. Did I just answer? Oh, okay. Yeah.
What improvements would you support regarding traffic, parking, or pedestrian safety?
Ooh.
I'm sorry, 1 minute? What would you support regarding traffic, parking, or pedestrian safety?
Well, this is a tough one. Because where else are we going to put another parking lot? So maybe encourage more people to utilize the 300 level. Maybe we allocate some funds to double up our shuttle service, and further crosswalks, have specific crosswalk stations that are clearly painted and also yield for pedestrians. So either visitors or residents don't get frustrated with tourists just crossing the streets, but then also provides a safe way for them to cross the streets. And then I don't know how to keep visitors from taking photos in the streets, but that's okay. We can put yield for photographers, maybe, signs. But yeah, maybe adding more shuttle service and encouraging more people to park at the 300 level would be a good idea.
In the interest of time, I would just keep putting this.
I'll address public safety. I feel like we're at capacity when it comes to parking, which is it's probably a good thing for us. I don't know if we want to keep expanding parking. I feel like Jerome gets pretty crowded on a daily basis as it is. So it's a good throttle for the amount of people that come to town. But for public safety, I would address sidewalks. And this is a tricky one because we have historic sidewalks that we all love. We love the way they look. We love the black slag that is in them, but they're falling apart. And we have to find a happy medium where we restore these sidewalks, or when we put in brand new ones, we make them feel like they belong in Jerome, not just a regular piece of cement sidewalk. They have to be special. They have to, match the character of the town. We can't fake historic stuff, but we have to make these things unique. So it's my opinion.
Sidewalks are important. I trip pretty often, even though I walk the same sidewalks all the time. As far as safety of pedestrian traffic, we have such a weird little intersection right there in the middle of town. Like people that want to cross the street from, the opposite side where the steps and stairs are, there's not like a direct line to the corner, so it gets a little wonky there. It's 89A. Any additional crosswalks or signage, you're going to have to go through them. So I've imagined and envisioned kind of like the way Clarkdale does, where they just have like the lines that are painted and it causes everybody to like slow down, even though it's not an official like stop or crosswalk. I think that would be helpful because it would give people a chance to pause right before they turn left down the road the wrong way. But again, that's ADOT, so there's a lot of effort that has to go into getting ADOT to help.
Yeah, I think we're all thinking about that intersection right in front of the spirit room. We've all been sitting in there and like, oh, look at what this person's doing. Making a crosswalk there more obvious, encouraging people to cross towards the museum and then across instead of crossing right into an area that has no sidewalk. It's kind of just the road. So making things more clear, more obvious. I know sign blindness is a thing, so when we add more signs, people are just not going to read anything. So being thoughtful about how we communicate that is important. And I agree with Kacey's sentiment about bolstering our shuttle program. And, let's paint the shuttles. Let's have the artists in town paint the shuttles and make them super obvious and pretty. And, funnel more money into that program so people use it, expand the days that we're offering this service. Those are my thoughts.
If I'm re-elected, I'm going to continue working with NACON, trying to get more funding for more shuttle services, for more people, for better vehicles, more vehicles, that type of thing. I believe it or not, I was in a meeting with ADOT the other day supporting our town, and I'm here to tell you they're actually looking at putting a crosswalk across 89A, whether we like it or we don't. But as far as public safety is concerned, that is a conversation right there, so that they're already in their minds. I kind of barked at them about painting. Why did we get left behind? We spent our tax money, and we need to have the crosswalk from my museum to the spirit room taken care of, and the things being painted in the signs. Manicuring the roads and the pull-off points and adding signage, because we all need to go somewhere, and yet we got tourists Instagramming, and it's like, it's 50, not 20. So I think really just becoming the voice and being more peaceful and getting with ADOT and the NACOGs of the world to help us with those things.
I agree. I think we have to continue increasing our efforts with the safety piece, for the walking, driving, to parking. And the more we have an opportunity to do that, the better off we'll be.
Can you repeat the question, please?
What improvements, if any, would you support regarding traffic, parking, or pedestrian safety?
blocked. The other way to get around would be School Street, Center Street, continuing improvements on that. I did talk in my opening statement about we already have shovel-ready projects, we just need funds. As far as safety, we have a lot of stairs and things. I don't think our town is unsafe. I think people need to not look at the view and walk at the same time because they might trip over something. So if you've never been here before, you know, take a bit of time. It is hard to get work on any crosswalks because that is a state highway and they dictate what we can and cannot do. It would be really nice to see them put some money into this highway and fix all our potholes and things. So continue to push the state. Her funds were stripped as much money as we can get to fix these streets. I won't even touch on all the residential streets that need work. So funding the shuttle longer is something we've all talked about. Thank you. I believe the town has talked to ADOT before, and in order to have a crosswalk on the highway, you have to have visibility, and I cannot remember how many feet it is, but there's only one spot that you can actually have a legal crosswalk, and I think it is by the mine museum. Because if you can't see both ways, you can't legally put a crosswalk on the highway. So having the pedestrians realize they're on a state highway is a good thing, and that the entire highway isn't a sidewalk. And also having people that are on the state highway driving through slow down and keep an eye out for people walking. And having the shuttle run more often, I would like to see that and park out at the 300 level when it's busy in town. However we do that, I'd really like to see that happen.
I will share with you that your voters write lots of really good, meaty, substantive questions. There are 8 more that voters have submitted. So if you haven't heard your question addressed tonight, trust me, it's here. We don't have time for 8 more questions, so I'm going to use the moderator's prerogative to pick one to close the lightning round and then move to your closing statements. So here's the question. Each have 1 minute. What principles guide your decision-making regarding the town budget and spending priorities? What ideas do you have to increase revenues for the town of Jerome? Jane, we'll start with you.
I just answered the last one. We start with Alex. Increasing town revenues, oh boy. I know everybody hates the paid parking, but that's helped us a lot. Do I hear booze and hisses out there? Honestly, I can't answer that one. I think keeping the history and quality of the town and helping our economy is looking kind of odd right now with gas prices, housing prices, and food prices. I think one of the things I like to do is look long and hard and do a lot of research. And I think everybody's trying as hard as they can right now. And I don't know whether more events every month is going to help. I honestly can't answer that question.
Well, actually, you have, because the first part was what principles would guide your decisions. So you shared your principles. So that's the first part of the question. What principles guide your decisions regarding the town budget and spending priorities? And then what ideas do you have to increase revenue for the town of Jerome?
My loyalty to the town makes me not want to raise rent or rates for the town. We only have so many people here. We could pay more for water, we could pay more for sewer, we could pay more for trash, we could pay more for property taxes. Or we can just raise our parking rates and let the tourists help us out, the 2 million tourists. So I am all for having the 2 million tourists help us out and keep your rates low. As far as principles, that's just good principles of caring about your community. So again, I have said it in the public meetings and I will continue to say it. I would raise the parking fees before I would be okay with raising any of the rates. Thank you.
I agree 100%. I think the parking is the area where we can increase revenue and not tax, if you will, residents, but the people that do come to our town. I think you're 100% right.
I agree. Parking, I was in favor for raising it. Everywhere else parking is expensive. We live in town. It's not parking for us necessarily. So it's for the tourists to come in. I think, again, if I get reelected, I'm going to keep driving back home to the state on looking at other means of taxation towards the tourism. There are other taxes that are actually happening on the East Coast that doesn't happen in the West Coast, or at least in Arizona. I've listened in those meetings to the legislators, enjoy the fact that we're kind of conservative and the Wild West. They look at the East, but they just kind of deny it. And the reality is if we could tax tourism more, then we could survive better. And there's not a reason who we are and having the money come out of our pocket. But right now, that's it. PD. Have the PD start trolling up and down the mountain. If you got slow drivers, pull them over, give them a ticket. That's money in our pocket. You want to raise the ticket prices when you give somebody a ticket? Give them a ticket price. You know, honestly, the money comes from fire department doing their things outside of here and helping out. That brings money in. PD's the same way, where they go out and get tickets and they do their patrols and make that money, and then we tax the taxes.
Thank you.
Okay, so I don't have a long history with working with budgets specifically, so personally I would rely on the expertise and knowledge of town staff, and I would do my research to educate myself and work collaboratively with my other council members. I think we should do everything we can to support small businesses in filling vacant spots that we have in town. I think part of that conversation could be revisiting the parking requirement that we place on small businesses in town. I think we need to look at taxing short-term rentals a little bit more. I agree with the sentiment I've been hearing here with taxing tourists. And I think maybe, I just got flutters in my stomach to talk about this, we should maybe revisit having a dispensary in town. Towns gain a lot of tax revenue from this. It is legal, it is regulated. It is time that Jerome looks at this. And it's 2026, folks. Let's look at it.
I don't really have much to add to what's already been said. As far as principles when it comes to budgeting, we've talked about how we prioritize different projects, and we're constantly looking to see if we are operating within our budget and how we can reduce our budget in certain ways. It's just, money management or, priority management in terms of that. And then generating extra revenue, it's a tough one. The parking is the easy thing, there's no doubt about that. I do wish sometimes that there was some sort of accommodation for locals when it came to parking, and I support extra taxes for tourism. We have a lot of extra duties and responsibilities because of the amount of visitation that we get, even though we do make money off of it. The only thing that I will caution and moving forward with that idea is that in terms of our local, regional visitors, they might not like it.
I think we need to ask for help incessantly. For example, the town saved hundreds of thousands of dollars by getting a grant from the water meters. That made our water system more resilient, and it saved us that money. We can ask for help in all kinds of ways. And anytime we get big help like that, it saves us for the small stuff, so that our small town budget can manage, the routine stuff without any issues. We can pay our staff, we can pay our bills, but we need to ask for help. We need to be loud, we need to be consistent, and we need to leverage just how special our town is. We're a National Historic Landmark. That means a lot. And there are people out there in this country that are willing to help us out, but we have to go out there and ask for help.
I totally support the grant thing. I don't know a lot about the budget and the financial responsibility yet, but I will if elected on the council. I definitely support revisiting the dispo because weed tourism is a huge thing. Let's be real. It would generate so much business and tax revenue for us. But also, one thing, does Jerome promote itself as a year-round destination? Because I have a lot of people come to the bar and say, we never heard of Jerome. Someone told us to come to Jerome. Are we promoting ourselves? Or are we like, you should know about us, just come here? Because I hear a lot of people say, I did not know this was here. And yeah, are we promoting ourselves enough? And then maybe that will definitely bring in more revenue. So maybe just an idea.
Thank you. Before we go to closing statements, so that the last thing you hear is from the candidates and not from me, I want to thank the candidates and all of you for your very attentive participation in this evening's forum. Please remember that Election Day is July 21st, and if you need to get your ballot because you're an unaffiliated voter, an independent voter, please take care of that soon. We're now going to turn to the closing statements from the candidates. Each candidate has 1 minute, and because we went this way to start with opening remarks, we're going to do the reverse and start with Kacey. 1 minute.
As a longtime bartender and now manager at one of the many iconic businesses in town, I work with the public daily and know how town decisions affect residents, workers, and small businesses as well as visitors. I prioritize inclusion, community, and the arts. My career has taught me how to listen to people, solve problems, and build relationships within the community. I value collaboration and transparency, and I use logic in my decision making. I believe in balancing economic vitality with preservation of Jerome's historic character, and supporting local residents in making decisions that reflect the needs and voices of the community as a whole. And I appreciate everyone being here tonight and taking the opportunity just to listen to what I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you to everyone who came tonight, and thank you to the League of Women Voters for hosting this forum. I'm running for town council because I care deeply about Jerome. Because I believe this town needs practical, informed, and long-term leadership. I was born and raised here. I'm raising my family here, and I've served this town through public works, the fire department, the design review board. My background in water, wastewater, and infrastructure gives me direct experience with some of the most important challenges facing Jerome. My commitment is simple. I will show up and prepare. I will listen, I will work cooperatively, and I will make decisions based on what is best for the long-term health of the town. Jerome deserves leadership that respects its history, maintains what we have, plans responsibly for the future, and keeps this town livable for residents, families, workers, and local businesses. I'm asking for your vote so I can continue serving Jerome for a larger role.
Well, if elected, if chosen to volunteer for the town council once again, it will be my 3rd term. I really feel like I've just started to get a true understanding of how the system works in a way. I have, seen projects take shape and start to happen over the last 4 years, and I'm kind of dedicated and motivated, like Jane. I think she might be my inspiration to kind of see those through to fruition. I feel like my working class status, being that I am dependent on the income generated by visitors, and kind of offers a unique perspective. So I'm just going to keep trying to do it. I will think clearly, be prepared, I will listen, I will reasonable discussion, open to all of that.
Thank you guys for considering me as a candidate. I would be honored to have a chance to serve you on council. I have a skill set you're looking for in a public servant. I will work for you. I will listen to you. I will provide transparency, and I will communicate with you what is hard to communicate. I'm invested in this town, just bought a house. I'm here for the long haul. I was a visitor for 10 years, resident for 4, and I don't know, we joke that we bought a coffin. We didn't buy a house, we bought a coffin. So I'm not going anywhere. I will continue to give to the town in any way that I'm able to, but I would love the opportunity to serve you and work with some of these amazing people on the issues that matter the most to us. So thank you, everybody.
Thank you, all of you. I appreciate you, because honestly, without the history of this town being born and all of you and the elders rebirthing it, I wouldn't have an opportunity to bring my family here and be a part of this. I'm going to continue to fight if I am chosen again, legislators, and figure out what's the best for our town. I have the drive, I have the initiative, I have time off from work where I can literally go in and dig in deep and figure out what's going on. I'm a solutions guy by heart. I'm a family member, family man, community driven, and the reality is I've only been doing this now for coming up at the end of these 2 years, and I have learned more than I could have ever possibly wanted to know. And it's one of those things that, to be honest with you, it's been the most heartwarming thing is you chose me back then. If you choose me again, I will continue. I may be the new kid in town, but the reality is that I love you all, and I'm going to continue to fight because I'm not dying, right? And I'm going to continue with my family on that mountain with all of you. Thanks.
Well, thank you all. You know, for me, it's an honor to be back on the council. I had the privilege of being the mayor for a period of time. I had the privilege of being on the council for the period of time. And I found it to be very effective, not only for the town, but for me. I've been a leadership person in the state of Arizona for many years, and I'm delighted that my wife and I fell in love with Jerome, moved here, and have the opportunity to serve here. And I would be honored to continue my service on this council, and thank you very much. I appreciate your participation, being here today, and looking forward to working with you in the years to come. Thank you so very much.
Thank you, League of Women Voters, for hosting this. Thank you, Historical Society, for giving us a venue. Thank you, residents, for showing up. Thank you, everyone, for running. I love Jerome. I bring a seasoned, level-headed, honest, open, community-centered approach to local government. As a lifelong resident, I have extensive historical knowledge, and I pledge my dedication to preserve the integrity of our historic landmark status. We are the best Old West history example left in the whole entire state. Thank you.
I just want to thank everybody for being interested in helping the town out. It makes me feel great that people care. I'm a workaholic. I think I've got a couple more good years that I would like to continue serving the town and see some of these projects finished. And I welcome anyone to call me, come to the shop, talk to me about concerns that they have. I promise to do whatever research it takes and hard work it takes to do my best and represent all of you that live here. And thank you.
Thank you.
Great questions from you. Great interactions from the candidates. Thank you on behalf of the League of Women Voters, and thank you, Jerome Historical Society, for offering this great venue. And this forum is adjourned.